There are two types of pain in this world, the pain of discipline and the pain of regret. One weighs ounces, the other weighs tons. One builds character, the other destroys it. One creates the life you want, the other creates the life you're stuck with. The difference between these two pains is not intensity, it's choice. Discipline is the pain you choose. Regret is the pain that chooses you. Every morning, you wake up to the same fundamental decision that has shaped every great life and destroyed every wasted one. Will you discipline your mind? Or will you allow life to discipline you? Will you take command of your thoughts, your habits, your responses, and your choices? Or will you surrender that command to circumstances, emotions, impulses, and the chaotic randomness of an undisciplined existence? This is not a philosophical question, it's the most practical decision you will make today, and every day for the rest of your life. Because here's the truth that changes everything. Once you understand it, discipline is not something that restricts your freedom. Discipline is what creates your freedom. The mind that lacks discipline is not free. It's enslaved to every impulse, every distraction, every temporary emotion that demands immediate satisfaction. Look around you at the lives of those who chose the pain of regret over the pain of discipline. They are everywhere, people who meant to exercise but chose comfort, who planned to save money but chose immediate gratification, who intended to build something meaningful but chose entertainment instead. They are living proof that when you don't discipline your mind, life will discipline you with consequences far more severe than any self-imposed structure could ever be. The undisciplined mind believes it's choosing freedom when it follows every impulse, satisfies every craving, and avoids every discomfort. But this is not freedom. It's the most sophisticated form of slavery ever devised. It's slavery to the lowest parts of your nature, slavery to the weakest aspects of your character, slavery to the temporary satisfactions that prevent permanent fulfillment. Thomas Edison understood this when he established the work habits that would make him the most prolific inventor in American history. Edison didn't wait for inspiration to strike. He disciplined his mind to show up every day, to work methodically through problems, to persist through failures that would crush an undisciplined spirit. When Edison said genius is 1% inspiration and 99% perspiration, he was revealing the secret that separates achievers from dreamers. Genius is not a gift, it's a discipline. Edison's laboratory operated with the precision of a military unit because Edison understood that great achievements require great discipline. While his competitors waited for the perfect moment, the perfect inspiration, the perfect conditions, Edison disciplined his mind to work with imperfect moments, manufactured inspiration, and created conditions through the sheer force of organized effort. When Edison began his quest to create the incandescent light bulb, he didn't stumble upon the solution through luck or sudden inspiration. He disciplined his mind to test over 1,000 different materials for the filament, to document every failure, to learn from every mistake. Each failure was not evidence that he should quit, it was evidence that his disciplined approach was systematically eliminating what didn't work to discover what would. This is the power of a disciplined mind. It transforms failure from a reason to quit into information for progress. The undisciplined mind interprets failure as confirmation that success is impossible. The disciplined mind interprets failure as confirmation that success requires persistence. The undisciplined mind sees obstacles as stop signs. The disciplined mind sees obstacles as navigation tools pointing toward alternative routes. Every morning, your mind presents you with a choice. You can discipline it to focus on what matters most, or you can allow it to scatter its attention across whatever seems most urgent, most entertaining, or most emotionally compelling in the moment. This choice determines not just what you accomplish today, but who you become over time. Because discipline is not just about getting things done, it's about becoming the type of person who gets important things done consistently. The disciplined mind understands that consistency is more powerful than intensity. It's better to exercise for 20 minutes every day than to exercise for 3 hours once a week. It's better to write 1 page every day than to write 50 pages once a month. It's better to save $10 every day than to save $1,000 once a year. Small disciplines, practiced consistently, create massive results. Small indulgences, practiced consistently, create massive problems. Andrew Carnegie built his steel empire not through occasional bursts of brilliance, but through the daily discipline of understanding his business better than his competitors understood theirs. Carnegie disciplined his mind to study every aspect of steel production, to learn from every setback, to find opportunity in every crisis. While his competitors reacted to market conditions, Carnegie disciplined his mind to anticipate them. While they made emotional decisions based on temporary circumstances, Carnegie made logical decisions based on long-term principles. Carnegie understood that the mind, like steel, becomes stronger under pressure, but only if that pressure is applied with discipline and purpose. Random pressure breaks things. Disciplined pressure forges them into something stronger than they were before. The difference between pressure that destroys and pressure that strengthens is the discipline to apply it systematically, consistently, and with clear intention. Your mind faces pressure every day. The pressure of deadlines, the pressure of expectations, the pressure of uncertainty, the pressure of responsibility. You can allow this pressure to overwhelm your thinking, to scatter your focus, to push you toward reactive decisions that provide temporary relief but create long-term problems, or you can discipline your mind to use this pressure as the force that forges your character, sharpens your focus, and strengthens your resolve. The undisciplined mind crumbles under pressure because it has never been trained to handle discomfort. It seeks the easiest path, the quickest relief, the most comfortable option. But comfort is not the ally of growth, it's the enemy of greatness. Every time you choose comfort over challenge, ease over effort, immediate satisfaction over long-term success, you're training your mind to be weak when you need it to be strong. Benjamin Franklin understood this when he created his system of moral discipline that would guide him throughout his life. Franklin didn't trust his natural inclinations to make him the person he wanted to become. He disciplined his mind through specific practices, tracked his progress with methodical precision, and held himself accountable to standards that seemed impossibly high to those around him. Franklin's contemporaries thought his approach was too rigid, too demanding, too focused on self-improvement when life should be enjoyed spontaneously. But Franklin understood something they didn't. Spontaneous enjoyment without disciplined foundation leads to spontaneous destruction. The person who disciplines themselves in small things earns the freedom to enjoy great things. The person who won't discipline themselves in small things becomes enslaved by great problems. When Franklin disciplined his mind to wake early, work systematically, and end each day with reflection on his progress, he wasn't restricting his freedom, he was creating the conditions that would allow him to become one of the most accomplished individuals in American history. Franklin was a successful businessman, influential politician, respected scientist, and skilled diplomat because he disciplined his mind to excel in each area rather than allowing it to wander aimlessly through life. This is the paradox that the undisciplined mind cannot comprehend. True freedom comes from voluntary constraints. The musician who disciplines themselves to practice scales achieves the freedom to play beautiful music. The athlete who disciplines themselves to train consistently achieves the freedom to perform at the highest level. The entrepreneur who disciplines their spending achieves the freedom that comes from financial security. But the undisciplined mind sees only the constraints, not the freedom they create. It sees only the immediate discomfort of discipline, not the long-term pleasure it produces. It sees only what must be given up today, not what will be gained tomorrow. This short-sightedness is not a character flaw. It's the natural result of an untrained mind that has never learned to think beyond immediate consequences. Every great leader, every successful entrepreneur, every accomplished artist has had to train their mind to think beyond immediate consequences. They've had to discipline their thinking to consider not just what feels good right now, but what will produce the results they want over time. This is not natural. It's learned. And it's learned through the daily practice of choosing long-term benefit over short-term comfort. Walt Disney understood this when he disciplined his mind to persist through the bankruptcy, the rejections, and the setbacks that would have stopped an undisciplined dreamer. Disney's vision of Disneyland was so far beyond what anyone had ever attempted that it seemed impossible to everyone except Disney himself. But Disney had disciplined his mind to believe in visions that others couldn't see and to work toward goals that others considered unrealistic. When Disney mortgaged his house, borrowed against his life insurance, and risked everything to build Disneyland, he wasn't being reckless, he was being disciplined. He had disciplined his mind to calculate risks accurately, to prepare for challenges systematically, and to persist through obstacles that would overwhelm an undisciplined spirit. Disney's success wasn't luck, it was the inevitable result of a disciplined mind applied to an extraordinary vision. The undisciplined mind confuses Disney's risk-taking with gambling, but there's a crucial difference. Gambling is hoping for favorable outcomes without controlling the variables that create them. Disney disciplined his mind to control every variable he could control, to prepare for every challenge he could anticipate, and to develop the capabilities needed to succeed regardless of circumstances he couldn't predict. This is what discipline actually is. It's not rigid adherence to arbitrary rules. It's intelligent preparation for predictable challenges. The disciplined mind doesn't avoid risk. It calculates risk accurately and prepares to handle it effectively. The disciplined mind doesn't avoid difficulty. It develops the capabilities needed to overcome difficulty when it arrives. Every morning when you wake up, your mind is like a powerful computer that can be programmed to serve your highest goals or allowed to run random programs that serve no purpose beyond immediate entertainment. Most people never take control of their mental programming. They allow their minds to run whatever programs were installed by their environment, their emotions, their impulses, or their habits formed without conscious intention. But you have the power to become the programmer of your own mind. You can discipline your thinking to focus on solutions instead of problems, on opportunities instead of obstacles, on progress instead of perfection. This is not positive thinking. This is disciplined thinking. Positive thinking hopes things will get better. Disciplined thinking makes things better through focused mental effort applied consistently over time. John D. Rockefeller became the wealthiest man in modern history not because he was naturally more talented than his competitors, but because he disciplined his mind to think about business with mathematical precision. While his competitors made emotional decisions based on fear and greed, Rockefeller disciplined his mind to make logical decisions based on data and long-term strategy. Rockefeller understood that the mind, like money, grows through disciplined management and shrinks through careless handling. He disciplined his mind to focus on one business at a time until he understood it completely, then to expand systematically rather than randomly. He disciplined his thinking to consider the long-term consequences of every decision, to prepare for economic cycles that his competitors ignored, and to maintain emotional equilibrium when others were driven by panic or euphoria. The disciplined mind that built Rockefeller's fortune was not naturally disciplined. It was trained through years of conscious effort to think clearly under pressure, to maintain focus despite distractions, and to persist through setbacks that would demoralize an untrained mind. Rockefeller's wealth was not the result of luck or natural talent. It was the compound interest of disciplined thinking applied to business challenges over decades. This principle applies to every area of life: your relationships, your health, your career, your personal growth? The quality of your life is determined by the quality of your thinking, and the quality of your thinking is determined by the discipline you apply to training your mind. An undisciplined mind produces an undisciplined life. A disciplined mind creates the life it's trained to create. But here's what most people don't understand about mental discipline. It's not about thinking the same thoughts every day. It's about training your mind to think effectively about whatever challenges you face. The disciplined mind is not rigid. It's adaptable. It's not mechanical. It's creative. It's not limited. It's focused. Abraham Lincoln demonstrated this during the most challenging period in American history. Lincoln disciplined his mind to find solutions to problems that had no precedent, to maintain vision during circumstances that seemed hopeless, to communicate clearly when the nation's survival depended on his words. Lincoln's greatness was not the result of natural political talent. It was the result of a mind disciplined to serve purposes larger than personal comfort. When Lincoln wrote the Gettysburg Address, he didn't wait for inspiration to strike. He disciplined his mind to distill the meaning of the Civil War into words that would honor the fallen and inspire the living. When Lincoln decided to preserve the Union, he disciplined his mind to consider strategies that had never been tested, to make decisions that had no historical precedent, to lead a nation through crisis without the luxury of certainty about outcomes. Lincoln's mind was disciplined not to avoid difficult thoughts, but to think clearly about difficult situations. The undisciplined mind avoids mental discomfort by focusing on easier, more pleasant thoughts. The disciplined mind understands that mental discomfort is often the signal that important thinking is taking place. The most valuable thoughts are often the most difficult ones to think. This is why discipline is not punishment, it's preparation. Every time you discipline your mind to focus when it wants to wander, to persist when it wants to quit, to think clearly when it wants to be emotional, you're preparing for moments when focus, persistence, and clarity will determine your success or failure. The undisciplined mind lives at the mercy of circumstances. When circumstances are favorable, it feels confident. When circumstances are challenging, it feels overwhelmed. But the disciplined mind maintains equilibrium regardless of circumstances because it has been trained to respond rather than react, to think rather than feel, to create solutions rather than multiply problems. Henry Ford revolutionized manufacturing not because he was naturally more innovative than his competitors, but because he disciplined his mind to question assumptions that everyone else accepted without thinking. While the automotive industry accepted that cars should be luxury items for the wealthy, Ford disciplined his mind to imagine a different possibility: affordable transportation for everyone. Ford's assembly line was not a moment of inspiration. It was the result of a mind disciplined to break complex problems into simple components, to test theories through systematic experimentation, and to persist through failures until solutions emerged. Ford didn't stumble upon mass production. He disciplined his thinking to invent it through methodical problem-solving applied to manufacturing challenges. The disciplined mind that created Ford's success was trained through years of working with machinery, studying mechanical principles, and solving practical problems. Ford's innovations were not random bursts of creativity. They were the predictable results of disciplined thinking applied to specific challenges with consistent effort over time. This reveals the secret that separates those who achieve their potential from those who waste it. Potential is not realized through inspiration alone. It's realized through the disciplined application of effort to worthy challenges. Inspiration provides the vision, but discipline provides the execution. Vision without discipline is merely dreaming. Discipline without vision is merely grinding. But vision combined with discipline creates the force that transforms possibilities into realities. Every day, your mind generates dozens of ideas, insights, and inspirations. The undisciplined mind treats these mental gifts carelessly. It entertains them briefly, then allows them to disappear without action. But the disciplined mind captures these gifts and transforms them into plans, transforms plans into actions, and transforms actions into results. The difference between a successful person and an unsuccessful person is not the quality of their ideas, it's the discipline they apply to implementing their best ideas. Everyone has good ideas. Most people have great ideas. Some people have revolutionary ideas. But only those who discipline their minds to act on their ideas consistently and persistently ever discover what their ideas are actually worth. Madame Curie became the first woman to win a Nobel Prize not because she had better ideas than other scientists, but because she disciplined her mind to pursue her ideas with a rigor and persistence that others found impossible to maintain. Curie's research into radioactivity required her to spend years working with primitive equipment in dangerous conditions, processing tons of raw material to extract tiny amounts of radium. Curie's competitors had access to the same scientific knowledge, the same theoretical frameworks, the same basic equipment. But Curie had something they lacked: a mind disciplined to maintain focus on long-term goals despite short-term obstacles, to persist through failures that would discourage less disciplined researchers, and to maintain scientific objectivity even when her discoveries challenged established beliefs. The disciplined mind that won Curie her Nobel Prizes was not naturally disciplined. It was trained through years of methodical study, systematic experimentation, and persistent effort applied to problems that had no guaranteed solutions. Curie's greatness was not the result of superior intelligence, it was the result of superior discipline applied to scientific challenges that required both brilliant thinking and sustained effort. This is the pattern you see in every field of human achievement. The greatest accomplishments come not from the most naturally talented individuals, but from those who discipline their minds to develop their talents through consistent, purposeful effort applied over time. Natural talent without discipline becomes wasted potential. Limited talent with discipline becomes unlimited possibility. The mind is like a muscle. It grows stronger through resistance and weaker through neglect. Every time you discipline your mind to do something difficult, you're building mental strength that will serve you in future challenges. Every time you allow your mind to take the easy path, you're building mental weakness that will betray you when you need strength most. This is why successful people often seem to have supernatural willpower, not because they were born with more self-control, but because they discipline their minds to develop self-control through daily practice. They train their minds to choose long-term benefit over short-term pleasure so consistently that it became automatic. They disciplined their thinking to focus on solutions rather than problems so regularly that optimism became their default mental state. Steve Jobs revolutionized multiple industries not through natural genius alone, but through a mind disciplined to pursue perfection with relentless focus. Jobs disciplined his thinking to consider every detail of product design, to anticipate customer needs before customers recognized them, and to maintain standards so high that they seemed unreasonable to everyone except Jobs himself. When Jobs returned to Apple and saved the company from bankruptcy, he didn't accomplish this miracle through inspiration. He accomplished it through the disciplined application of clear thinking to complex business challenges. Jobs disciplined his mind to focus Apple's efforts on a few products executed with extraordinary attention to detail, rather than many products executed with ordinary care. The disciplined mind that created Apple's renaissance was trained through decades of learning from failures, studying successful companies, and developing an increasingly sophisticated understanding of what customers actually want versus what they say they want. Jobs' success was not luck. It was the inevitable result of disciplined thinking applied to business challenges with unwavering commitment to excellence. But discipline is not just about professional achievement, it's about personal fulfillment. The undisciplined mind is constantly seeking happiness in external circumstances, relationships, possessions, and experiences, but happiness that depends on external factors is temporary and fragile. The disciplined mind creates happiness through internal factors, meaningful work, personal growth, contribution to others, and the satisfaction that comes from becoming the person you're capable of becoming. The disciplined mind understands that happiness is not something you find, it's something you create through the conscious choice to focus on what you can control rather than what you cannot, on what you have rather than what you lack, on what you're becoming rather than what you've been. This is not denial of reality, this is the disciplined choice to focus on the aspects of reality that empower rather than discourage. Every morning, you wake up with the power to discipline your mind or to allow it to run wild. You can train your thoughts to serve your highest goals or allow them to serve your lowest impulses. You can develop mental habits that create the life you want or maintain mental habits that perpetuate the life you're trying to escape. The choice is yours, but the consequences are inevitable. A disciplined mind creates disciplined results. An undisciplined mind creates undisciplined consequences. There is no middle ground, no neutral position, no way to avoid the effects of the mental habits you practice every day. Look at your life right now. Everything you see is the result of the mental discipline or lack of discipline you've practiced up to this point. Your relationships reflect the discipline you've applied to understanding and serving others. Your career reflects the discipline you've applied to developing valuable skills and contributing meaningful value. Your health reflects the discipline you've applied to taking care of your body. Your financial situation reflects the discipline you've applied to managing resources. If you're satisfied with these results, continue the mental habits that created them. If you're not satisfied, begin today to discipline your mind differently. The past does not determine the future unless you discipline your mind to repeat the same patterns that created past results. The greatest discovery of human potential is this: you can change your life by changing your thinking, and you can change your thinking by disciplining your mind to think differently. This is not motivational theory, this is practical psychology. Your thoughts create your emotions influence your actions, and your actions determine your results. Discipline the beginning of this chain, and you control the end. But discipline is not a destination, it's a journey. It's not something you achieve once and then forget about, it's something you practice daily for the rest of your life. The moment you stop disciplining your mind starts disciplining you through the chaos of undirected thoughts, uncontrolled emotions, and inconsistent actions. Marcus Aurelius, while leading the Roman Empire through war and crisis, disciplined his mind every morning through written reflections that helped him maintain perspective, purpose, and emotional equilibrium. Aurelius understood that external power without internal discipline leads to corruption and failure. He disciplined his mind not just to command others effectively, but to command himself wisely. The disciplines that made Aurelius an effective emperor were not different from the disciplines that make anyone effective in their chosen field. The principles are universal focus on what you can control, accept what you cannot, maintain perspective during both success and failure, and persistently work toward worthy goals regardless of temporary obstacles. These principles seem simple, but they require disciplined practice to implement consistently. The undisciplined mind understands these concepts intellectually, but fails to apply them practically when emotions run high, when pressure increases, or when immediate gratification competes with long-term benefit. The disciplined mind, however, has trained itself to apply these principles especially when they're most difficult to follow. It is practiced focusing on controllable factors when uncontrollable factors seem overwhelming. It has developed the habit of maintaining perspective when immediate circumstances seem to demand emotional reactions. It has built the capacity to choose long-term benefit over short-term pleasure, even when the short-term pleasure seems irresistible. This is why discipline is not restriction, it's liberation. The disciplined mind is free to pursue its highest goals because it's not enslaved to its lowest impulses. The disciplined mind is free to create the life it wants because it's not imprisoned by the life it's settled for. The disciplined mind is free to become who it's meant to be because it's not limited by who it's been. But freedom through discipline requires daily practice. You cannot develop mental discipline through occasional effort any more than you can develop physical strength through occasional exercise. Discipline is built through consistent practice of disciplined choices, disciplined thoughts, and disciplined actions applied to the small challenges of daily life. The person who cannot discipline themselves to wake up when their alarm goes off will struggle to discipline themselves to complete important projects on deadline. The person who cannot discipline themselves to eat healthy food when junk food is available will struggle to discipline themselves to save money when immediate purchases seem appealing. The person who cannot discipline themselves to exercise when they don't feel like it will struggle to discipline themselves to persist through challenges when persistence becomes difficult. Small disciplines create the foundation for large disciplines. Daily practices create the capacity for extraordinary achievements. Ordinary discipline applied consistently produces extraordinary results over time. This is the secret that transforms average people into exceptional achievers. They understand that exceptional results come from the disciplined application of ordinary principles. They don't wait for extraordinary circumstances to begin practicing discipline. They begin practicing discipline with ordinary circumstances and thereby create the extraordinary circumstances they want to experience. The time to discipline your mind is not when life becomes overwhelming, it's before life becomes overwhelming. The time to develop mental strength is not when you face your greatest challenges, it's before you face your greatest challenges. The time to build disciplined thinking habits is not when you need them most, it's when building them seems least urgent. Every day you postpone disciplining your mind. You're making it more likely that life will discipline you through circumstances you cannot control. Every day you practice mental discipline. You're making it more likely that you'll control the circumstances of your life rather than being controlled by them. The choice is yours. The power is yours. The time is now. You can begin today to discipline your mind in small ways that will create large changes over time. You can start with simple practices, waking up when you intend to wake up, focusing on important tasks without distraction, choosing healthy responses to stressful situations, maintaining perspective during both setbacks and successes. These small disciplines seem insignificant, but they're building the mental muscle that will serve you when discipline becomes difficult. They're creating the mental habits that will operate automatically when conscious effort becomes challenging. They're developing the mental strength that will support you when life tests your commitment to your highest goals. The disciplined mind is not born, it's built. It's not a gift, it's an achievement. It's not natural, it's developed through unnatural commitment to doing what's necessary rather than what's comfortable. Every person who has ever achieved anything significant has had to build the mental discipline necessary to pursue their goals consistently despite obstacles, setbacks, and the constant temptation to quit. You have the same opportunity they had. You have the same potential they had. You have the same choice they faced. Discipline your mind or allow life to discipline you. The difference between those who achieve their potential and those who waste it is not talent, luck, or circumstances. It's the daily choice to build mental discipline through the conscious practice of disciplined thinking, disciplined actions, and disciplined responses to whatever life presents. Your mind is waiting to be disciplined. Your potential is waiting to be developed. Your life is waiting to be transformed through the power of mental discipline applied consistently to worthy goals. The only question is whether you'll begin today or continue to postpone the discipline that could change everything. Discipline your mind, or life will discipline you. The choice is yours. The time is now. The power is within you. Everything you want to achieve is waiting on the other side of the discipline you're willing to practice. Begin today. Begin now. Begin with whatever small act of mental discipline you can apply to this moment. Your future self is counting on the discipline you practice today. Your dreams are depending on the mental strength you build through daily choices. Your potential is waiting for the disciplined thinking that will transform possibilities into realities. The path of discipline is not easy, but it's the only path that leads where you actually want to go. The path of indiscipline seems easier in the moment, but it leads everywhere except where you want to be. Choose discipline, and choose the life that discipline creates. Choose indiscipline, and accept the life that indiscipline produces. The power to choose is yours. The time to choose is now. Discipline your mind, and watch your life transform in ways you never thought possible. This is not a promise, it's a guarantee. Disciplined minds create disciplined lives. It's not magic, it's mathematics. It's not luck, it's logic. It's not chance, it's choice. Choose discipline. Choose the life that discipline creates. Choose to become the person that only discipline can help you become. Your greatest achievements are waiting on the other side of the greatest discipline you're willing to practice. If these words have stirred something within you, if you feel the fire of possibility burning in your chest, if you recognize the truth that discipline is not your enemy but your greatest ally, then you're ready to begin the most important work of your life, the daily discipline of becoming who you're meant to be. Share this message with someone who needs to hear it. Someone who's been waiting for motivation when what they really need is discipline. Someone who's been hoping for circumstances to change when what they need to change is their mind. Someone who has the potential for greatness but lacks the discipline to achieve it. Follow this channel if you're committed to the daily practice of mental discipline, because this is just the beginning. There are more truths to discover, more principles to apply, more ways to understand that the quality of your life is determined by the quality of your thinking, and the quality of your thinking is determined by the discipline you apply to training your mind. The journey of discipline is the journey of transformation, and that journey begins now.